Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to use the color grading panel. This is a new update for Lightroom 10, and I wanted to let you know if you do not have Lightroom 10, then you do not need to worry about this. If you have a version earlier than Lightroom, I actually edit your catalog in that version that you have, so you don't need to worry about it. And if you've just upgraded to Lightroom 10 and you still have some sessions that I'm going to be editing in Lightroom 9 that you sent me before upgrading, then you don't need to worry about that either, because when you upgrade your catalog upon import, it's actually going to retain the edits that I did on the split toning, so you don't need to worry about that. But if you're working in Lightroom 10, I want to show you a little bit about the color grading tool if you haven't used it already. So first of all, I want to show you how to use it just like you have been already for split toning. I know it's busy season, so learning a whole new thing is not something that we all need right now. So if you just want to be able to achieve the results that you were getting before, I'm going to show you how to do that. So when you first go to it, you'll see that we have the midtones, the shadows, and the highlights. And what you're going to want to do if you just want to do it just like before is click on this one, which is your shadows, and then you can adjust your hue just like normal. If you were doing like somewhere in the 40s, you can do that. You can adjust your hue there, and then you can increase your saturation right here. And make sure that your blending is actually all the way to 100. That's going to make it so that it looks just like the split toning that you were doing before. And then your highlights are over here, and again, it's going to be the same thing. Whatever number you were using is going to be there, and then whatever number for the saturation would go there, and then again, you want your blending to be at 100. So that's how to use it, the really quick way if you just want to be able to do what you were doing before. But let me quickly just show you how to use these different features that we have, because it does work a little bit differently. So it's really cool. I think we now have control over the midtones as well as the highlights and shadows, and we have control over the luminance and not just the hue and the saturation. So I think it's gonna be a game changer. It's gonna be something that I'm really excited to see how you guys use it, and I'm really excited to play around with it myself. So if you want to just change the saturation of that particular thing, you will click right here and you drag this little thing towards the dot. It's a little bit, it doesn't really make that much sense, but that's how you increase the saturation. And as you move this little dot around, it's changing the color as well as the saturation. So when you move around clockwise or counterclockwise, it's changing the color, the hue. But if you move towards this dot, it's changing the saturation. So if you want to do it that way, that's one way to do it. And you can adjust the midtones, which is this top one, the shadows, and the highlights. Now, this little dot, let me get a color that is not so like really annoying. So this slider is actually the luminance. So you can change how bright it is, which I think is really cool. So if you slide this, it's going to make it to the left, it will make it darker. And if you slide to the right, it will make it brighter. And you can do the same thing with the shadows, increase the saturation by going up towards the dot, and you can change the color either this way, going around this way, or just by simply dragging your little dot where you want it. So I find that the easiest thing is to just pick my color first and then increase my saturation this way. That's the easiest thing for me, and then to adjust the luminance over here. So I don't quite know yet what the blending does all that much. I think it just makes it a little bit stronger, a little bit less stronger. But again, if you want to use it just like you were doing split toning, you would keep that blending at 100. And then your balance is going to be just like what it was before in the split toning panel, just the balance between all those things that you just adjusted. You can also edit the things individually. So if you click here, you can click on the shadows, and here you can type in the color that you want. If you're more used to that, you can also use your arrow keys to go up and down. Same with the saturation. You can click and go down, and then here you can adjust the saturation, and then you can go over here to the midtones, or click right here and do the same thing, and you can go over here to the highlights and do the same thing. Now, another thing that's really cool, and I'm really glad that they have this now as a feature, is you can adjust the global tint. So I think this is awesome because it's going to give you more control than, for example, just the temp and tit sliders. You're actually going to be able to do any color. So it works just like before. First you're going to want to increase your saturation a little bit and then slide it to whichever color you want. And again, increase the saturation by going up towards the dot, decrease it by going down, or alternatively, you can use these things right here. And then your luminance tab again is here to make it brighter or darker. All right, I hope that helps. If you have any questions, let me know.